Welcome back to Symbiote Spider-Man right here at Comicstorian. My name is Benny and I read to you your favorite comic books and video games dramatically, and that's what we do here at this channel. Today we're going to be doing the second half of the original Symbiote Spider-Man storyline. So, this is a storyline that takes place during the 80s of Spider-Man's history, when he had the black suit from space, which as we discover later, to be Venom. So he has all the abilities of Venom, but he doesn't know that it's Venom just yet. Mysterio is battling against him and debating giving up a life of crime, only to discover that Spider-Man is using a weird suit and he has seen him in his street clothes. Mysterio decided to hire an individual to battle against Spider-Man, only to see the new suit take over and eat this individual. He then discovered that this is information that Kingpin might want, because Kingpin likes power. And that brings us to the current state of our storyline. He called up his buddy Johnny, telling him that he has something that the Kingpin would be interested in, and Johnny told him, "Tell me more." A few moments later, in Johnny's office, Mysterio tells him that the new costume that Spider-Man is wearing, well, it killed someone. Doubtful the webhead even understands its full potential. Johnny asks if he's sure that it wasn't a self-defense mechanism, and Mysterio tells him no, it was intelligent. It conceived and executed a plan and killed its opponent in seconds, while Spider-Man was knocked out. If there was only one way to get a sample of it, maybe blackmail Spider-Man or something. Johnny says that they don't have anything on him, but they do have something on his girlfriend that could be useful. The cat? You like cats, right, Quentin? Elsewhere, Spider-Man takes a break from patrolling, talking to himself quietly when Black Cat jumps down asking what's with the narrating. Spider-Man tells her that he likes to call it thinking out loud. And Black Cat takes a seat, telling him that he should tell his aunt who he is. Spider-Man stops. Where did that even come from? And Black Cat says, well, after he left her at the cemetery, she had a nice chat with her. Spider-Man begins to stumble on his words. What? What did you even talk to her about? And Black Cat snaps at him, telling him, you, obviously. She wishes that she had someone that she could tell anything to. Spider-Man tries to state that it's not that simple, but Black Cat stomps him, yelling that maybe he's just too used to being the smartest one in the room. He webs off, telling her that he's going to shut this down before he says something that he might regret. I'll see you later, Cat. Maybe. She heads back to her apartment asking how the hell is she in love with someone like that? She really only cares about him when he's Spider-Man, not when he's... But before she could finish, green smoke fills the room and Mysterio appears, telling her, you can keep musing out loud. Don't let me interrupt you. She jumps out, and as the illusion fades, she lands face first on the ground. Mysterio appears and begins to strangle her from behind, telling her that she could break free if she wanted. Don't disappoint. She snaps the line with her claws and shouts, asking, why are you even here? You're becoming the villain who captures the loved ones of heroes now? Want to use me against Spider-Man? Suddenly, Mysterio bursts out laughing. No, I don't want to capture you. I have a job for you, one that I'm going to pay very well for. Take this laser scalpel and container and cut off a tiny bit of Spider-Man's costume. Black Cat asks, do you want me to betray my boyfriend? No way, no freaking way. Not for all the money in the world. Mysterio points to a folder on the table asking, well, what about that then? She looks at it gasping, and Mysterio tells her, you know what that is, right? A detailed file on how the Kingpin gifted you with your bad luck powers. All of it is there in black and white. Your alliance with one of Spider-Man's greatest foes. It's quite thorough. She grabs the folder, but as it fades away, Mysterio tells her, judging by that reaction, Spider-Man doesn't know, does he? How would he react if the file were to fall in his hands? But then again, if you don't love him, it wouldn't matter, right? Black Cat spins back, kneeing Mysterio in the groin, and as he disappears, he says that it would seem that she has made her decision. She shouts, wait! And as she slumps down in her chair, she holds out her hand, telling him to give her the damn scalpel. Later that night, Spider-Man heads to his apartment and suddenly his spider sense goes off. He asks who's there and she tells him that it's just her. He looks around the corner and sees Black Cat in a robe, and as she unties it, he says that this doesn't solve anything. She walks over to the bed asking if he's going to stand there all night. And Black Cat gets up out of bed stating that she's kind of surprised that the knockout chemical in her lipstick worked. But she better hurry and get this over with. She takes out the scalpel and cuts a finger off of the costume, placing it into the container. But then she thinks about it. What is Spider-Man going to do when he realizes that he's missing a finger on his glove? She looks back at the suit and realizes that the whole thing is now intact. And she asks herself if it regrew. How did that happen? Figuring that she should just leave, she gets dressed and sneaks back out so she can drop off the piece. While she's gone, the suit slithers up the window looking out. And then it turns back, crawling up onto Spider-Man. And a second later, Spider-Man gets up. Later, on top of a building, Mysterio appears asking, "Did you get the sample?" And Black Cat tells him, "Yeah, where's the file?" He tells her that he never said anything about giving her the file, just that he wouldn't show it to Spider-Man. Now hand it over, Spider-Man learns the truth. She grits her teeth, throwing the container at him, telling him, "I really, really hate you." And Mysterio replies, Yeah, I have that effect on people." He examines the container, but he feels like someone is watching him. He looks back, shaking off the feeling, stating that he just needs to get this back to Johnny. Whatever this costume's secrets are, they won't be secrets much longer. A short while later in the Johnny lab, the sample is set down and Mysterio asks to be sure that that thing can hold it. Johnny tells him, of course, the jar is unbreakable. He can assure him that, but before he could even finish, the jar shatters and Johnny says, "I'm not imagining that, right? That thing is getting bigger." Mysterio tells him that it's fascinating and Johnny adds that it's also creepy. But what the hell is that thing? Mysterio tells him that he's not sure, and that's why they are looking into it. But before the experiments could be done, Kingpin radios in over the intercom stating that he needs an update on the research that's being done. Need to make sure the money isn't wasted. Johnny tells him that he should be there in 5 minutes, and as Johnny leaves, Mysterio laughs to himself, "Wouldn't want to upset your master." Mysterio then takes a closer look at the sample and says that it can feel his presence, huh? Are you a synthetic organism? And just then, Mysterio feels someone tapping on his shoulder, and Spider-Man punches him so hard, his helmet breaks. He opens up the container, and when he reaches in for the sample, it jumps away. He gets ready to go after it, but the guards run in, telling him not to move. Spider-Man turns back, webbing up the guns, and after pulling them out of the guards' hands, he whips them back, knocking them out. Seconds later, Kingpin walks in asking, "What are you doing? Do you still have the nerve to?" But before he could finish, Spider-Man jumps out the window, escaping. Kingpin then says, "The lack of quips, his movement, they all seem different. Perhaps the wall crawler isn't quite feeling like himself tonight?" Kingpin then looks over at the knocked out Mysterio asking, "And what do we have here?" A short while later, a bucket of water is thrown on Mysterio, and Kingpin rolls up his sleeves asking, "Why was Spider-Man here?" Mysterio quickly responds, "I don't know!" And Kingpin punches him, telling him, "I don't do well with pleas of ignorance. Why was he here? If you're honest, maybe you'll only leave with a couple of broken limbs." Everyone looks down as the sample crawls onto Mysterio and soon begins to cover up his entire body. Mysterio shouting, "Do something! What is this?" And Kingpin follows up with the same question. "What exactly? I'm open to suggestions." As Mysterio's face is covered, he can feel his body reacting on its own and he rips through the ropes holding him down. He stands up with a new, darker costume, stating that he could run, but that wouldn't be very sporting. Kingpin grabs him, telling him to sit down, but Mysterio lifts Kingpin up into the air and throws him into the guards. Mysterio then begins to fade away, telling Kingpin, "Give my regards to your lovely wife and pray I don't return." The next morning, Spider-Man slowly wakes up when he hears a phone ring. He tells himself that maybe it's Black Cat, but when he says hello, Aunt May asks if he's had breakfast yet. She was thinking of going to that pancake cottage and thought maybe they could meet up. As Spider-Man leaves, Black Cat watches, telling him that it's pretty early for him. No reason to follow, right? As Spider-Man jumps on the 7 train, he tells himself that he can't screw this up. Aunt May is reaching out to him. Something is going his way. However, just as he finishes, Mysterio appears behind him and throws a small device sending electricity through the entire train. Spider-Man falls to the ground paralyzed, and Mysterio reaches out telling him, "I need the rest of this suit. There's no seams or zippers." And Spider-Man reaches up, grabbing Mysterio by the arm. He laughs, shouting, "Ha ha ha, that's it. Now we have a ball game." Meanwhile, up on a sign, Black Cat watches. Oh no, this is not good. Mysterio throws his hands up in the air, creating a set of claws, slamming his hand down, ripping through the top of the train. Spider-Man starts to punch into Mysterio, but Mysterio catches it, telling him, "Is that all you got?" Gotta say, a little disappointed. He then takes Spider-Man's arm, punching him with it, telling him, "Stop hitting yourself! Stop hitting yourself!" Mysterio then wraps his hands around Spider-Man's throat, telling him, "You're not the only one with jokes. You won't be able to dodge so easily now." As he begins to raise his hand, a hook is thrown around it, and Black Cat pulls back, shouting, "Keep her hands off my boyfriend." Mysterio swipes back, cutting the line, but while he's not looking, Spider-Man kicks him in the chest off the train. He quickly chases after him, and he lands in front of the Shea Stadium. with many people that are going to the ball game stopping to ask if it's really Spider-Man. Mysterio jumps through some smoke though, and as Spider-Man swings, the illusion disappears. Suddenly, more Mysterio illusions all appear and they begin to hit, and Mysterio tells him, "Go ahead and pick one." Black Cat jumps in asking if she can give it a try, and as the illusions begin to focus on her, she patiently waits, and then kicks the real Mysterio, telling him, "It's bad luck for you." Mysterio holds his hands together, shooting out a fiery blast, blowing up a car and knocking both Spider-Man and Black Cat away. But before Mysterio can continue, the symbiote sample peels itself off of Mysterio with him asking, "What's going on? It doesn't like fire? It's afraid of fire?" The sample slithers its way back onto Spider-Man's suit, and just as Mysterio tells him to wait, Spider-Man punches him to the ground. He then reaches down, squeezing Mysterio's throat, but Black Cat puts her hand on his shoulder, telling him not to do it. She knows that he's angry, but this isn't him. Let Mysterio go, and they can go home together. But Spider-Man punches her back, taking his free hand and wrapping it back around Mysterio's neck. He gasps for air, stating that he should have listened, and then releases an electrical shock, throwing Spider-Man off. As he hits the ground, he gets up, asking, Where am I? Black Cat then asks, "What, now you want to be talkative?" Spider-Man asks, "What are you talking about? How did I even get here? What is going on?" Moments later, as the people begin to head into the stadium, a giant T-Rex roars and starts to stomp through the crowd. But as its foot passes through a t-shirt stand, Mysterio scoffs that his hard light aspect is still malfunctioning. Damn that Black Cat. Spider-Man jumps into the air, shouting to Mysterio that he's just about to be as extinct as his dinosaur, and he punches the illusion while Mysterio watches, telling himself that he can sneak off now. However, before even getting a chance to turn around, Black Cat cracks him in the back, shouting, 1, 2, 3 strikes! Mysterio crawls to the ground, and Black Cat stands triumphantly, telling him, "And you're out." Once he's webbed up, Spider-Man says that he really needs to go. Aunt May is waiting for him. So Black Cat tells him to go on, she'll take it from here. As Spider-Man leaves, Black Cat leans down, asking, "Are you awake? Because I strongly suggest that you keep whatever you learned about me and Spider-Man to yourself." Mysterio's scared, telling her that he will. No question about that. He's just hoping that sooner or later that costume will kill him. Meanwhile, over at the Pancake Cottage, Peter runs in asking if Aunt May is still there, and the waitress holds up a note asking, "Are you Peter?" Spider-Man tells her yes, and the waitress hands him the note stating that she left. But she also didn't seem surprised that he didn't show up. Spider-Man reads the note, crumpling it in his hand, and he hurries home. Once there, he calls Aunt May, telling her that he's really sorry. Something just came up in, 2 hours. Look, something unexpected, but I have plenty of time. Wait, hello, Aunt May? He hangs up his phone, stating, "Crap. Could my luck get any worse?" And that concludes the Symbiote Spider-Man spin-off story. Now, this book sold super well, so we've already got spin-offs coming in that are basically going to continue the plot of Symbiote Spider-Man. Originally, this was supposed to just take place during a period when Spider-Man had the black suit. This started coming out when the movie came out, so we had a black-suited Spider-Man fighting Mysterio, and that was what they wanted. But like I said, it sold so well that it's going to be continuing. If you're wondering what's going on around the plot outside of the major fight with Mysterio, well, basically, at this point, Spider-Man has the black suit, and it's going off at night and basically making him feel exhausted to do its own thing. Following this, back in the 80s, Spider-Man basically battled against the suit and it broke off and became Venom. But that is all back in the 80s, and whatever this continuation is going to give you more of the plot in general. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to smash that like button if you are interested, and I'll see you next time right here at Comicstorian.